I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Friday, March the 26th, brought to you in part by Zactran. Stress opens the gate to bovine respiratory disease. Zactran slams it shut. Remember to observe your 35-day withdrawal period after treatment. For more information, visit Zactran.com or visit with your BI representative. Cattle prices are rising, both futures and cash prices, and yes, it appears we did get an extra buck in our cash-fed cattle trade on a direct basis on Thursday. Not a lot of trade, but we were looking for that 116. There was quite a bit of 115 traded on Wednesday, but appears we did get the 116. Fairly widespread, but not a lot of numbers there, but we're gaining ground, guys. Your board has been friendly 4 days this week. It wouldn't surprise me at all to see it back up on Friday with some profit taking and things like that, but that's almost unprecedented unless we were in a big rally. It was just kind of moderately higher every day this week so far. But you look at your cash prices, of course stockers are higher right now. There's places where your new crop calves are soft, but other places where you have local demand, we're starting to see your new crop fall-born calves rise in price quite a bit. Feeder cattle, both steers and heifers, higher for the most part. Our index levels on the cash feeder cattle are rising. And it's a good deal. We're getting some price back. And why is so much of that? Well, a lot of it's due to the friendliness of the board, and managed money continues to invest on alongside in your cattle futures. And because it's a one commodity, ag commodity especially, that has not really increased in value since the onset of COVID. Everything's higher. Of course, we've got inflation. We're giving money away like it's candy, and everything's just getting higher. Well, your cattle have not really increased in price that much. So in comparison to everything else, your cattle have got to get higher. You look at cattle compared to their most competitive protein, which is pork and hogs. And you think, well, I don't know what's hogs doing. Nobody cares what hogs are doing because they've completely taken out all your independent hog producers for the most part. That's what they want to do to your cattle producers. That's what they're doing to it. If you watch the way that your hog or your cattle industry is going, it's step for step for step right behind what happened in your hogs. So it's very frustrating to watch it happen. We're trying to get some legislation in because we can't do it on our own because this monopoly has gotten so big. We've got to get some minimum mandated negotiated cash in your beef packers, and it looks like we've got a good chance to get that done. I don't care if it's 5014 or Cattle Market Transparency Act. I think we have a better chance at the Cattle Market Transparency Act, and I think it has more flexibility, and it includes more features in there than the 5014, and frankly the 50% negotiated cash mandate in your Southern Plains is too much. It'll completely upset the apple cart. Your packers will go to a completely different way of purchasing the cattle. And so it'll pretty much undo what we were trying to fix. But if we can go in there and tweak what we have now and leave it flexible where we can continue to go in there and adjust that and keep it competitive, then I think we have a better chance at that. But if somebody said, hey, 5014 pass and we got 50% negotiated cash nationwide, fantastic. But I'm not sure, just because they do have it in spots in the Midwest, that we can get it pushed through, because I tell you what, you guys in Iowa and Illinois and places like that, you need to branch out a little bit and come see what it looks like in western Kansas and the Texas Panhandle. Not all the cattle in the feedlots are black and peas in a pod. And most all of your big feedlots out there are either in some kind of a partnership, partially owned, or something by a major packer or a big corporate that's in a relationship with a packer. So you know, it's 50 sounds good in Iowa, and I credit you guys for trying to push that. I mean, you're really pushing for a home run, and I hope we get it. But I just think that if we work with something that's a little bit more flexible, that we have a better chance of getting it passed, pushed through, and being able to keep negotiated trade and keep it predominantly on a live basis. And I think that's very, very important so that it's more transparent for cattle producers. But you look at your raise in price, and I talked about the hogs. What are hogs bringing? Does anybody know what the hog price is anymore? Remember when you turned your radio on, you listened to the markets? First thing they gave were Omaha hogs. That give you an idea what your hogs were worth. Nobody cares what hogs are worth anymore because nobody raises hogs. And if you are in the business of raising hogs, you're doing it under contract with a big corporate pork outfit. But if you look, and I'm the only one that's going to give you a live hog price. But live hogs, if you take them back, they're all sold plant delivered carcass basis. But live hogs are over $70 now. You know, if hog producers back in the 90s thought that hogs were ever going to get to 70 bucks, over 70 bucks, they would have tried to stay in business back in 1998 when your pork industry took the hog price to 8 cents a pound, and it took everybody out of the business. And then it just they just went in there and kind of cleaned up behind, signed some contracts, sent pigs, sent feed. Everybody went to work for them. They didn't have to worry about your independent producers anymore. Don't think your beef packers would. Do not dream about that nightly. But your hogs, you know, like I said, over $70. You know, your top percent lean, the latest reported was almost $95, $94.77 carcass basis. You look at your latest weekly average, which was last week, and your carcass basis price on hogs was $91.34. That was way up in the high 60s. You compare that $91.34, which was last week, compare that to the monthly average of just February last month, it was $74.66. Your cattle got a right to gain a lot of ground here. That's our most competitive protein right there. You know, we may not go out and celebrate or settle bets on a pork chop, but I tell you what, if you're a housewife going through the supermarket and you're trying to decide which one to buy, you know, pork chops aren't too bad. Throw them on the grill, you can't hardly screw them up, and I tell you what, it's a very competitive protein for us. But your cattle have a due right to gain quite a bit of ground right here. So, you know, let's continue to root for it. Don't get complacent here. I think we now, as we've gotten to 116 here, maybe we do have a chance to break 120. You know, just a few weeks ago when we were languishing at 114 for 6 or 7 weeks, I was thinking, man, we may never see 120, but tell you what, it's looking like we have a good chance sometime in April to break into 120. And we don't let up on the gas then. You just keep pouring the coals to it and you try to get as much as you can. But let's look at the futures market on Thursday. April live cattle futures up 42 cents, 119.55. And you know, that's not too much to ask for 116 when your spot live cattle futures are 119.55, and we've only got a couple of weeks here before you could tender for delivery. How about June up 77 at 121.07? You go on out from there. There were a few on the back end. They were a little bit lower, down as much as 32 cents, but closer up as much as 62 cents on your out fronts. How about March feeder cattle up 37 cents at 136.15? April up 177 at 144.22. Going out from there, and they were all up in your back months of your feeder cattle, up 40 cents to up $1.80. Your fall feeder cattle contracts, you know, they had dipped back down. I told you guys to dally up and get a hold of them if you were turning cattle out for the summer and you were going to have yearlings to sell late this summer or in the fall. They're getting back up there to where they were, and we've got fall contracts of feeder cattle approaching 160 again. Pretty handsome out there. One reason all this has happened is after our last grain reports, and as we're getting into the summer, we don't have as much uncertainty about our grains, and it's evident that we're gonna have a lot of acres donated to them. Your grains have calmed down a lot. They've really calmed down and give a little more assurance to pushing feeder cattle prices higher. Your fat cattle trade, I talked a little bit about it earlier, but let's get confirmed sales on Thursday. Iowa, 2,300 head. They got 16,000 for the week. Prices on a live basis, 115 to 117. That's sure $2 higher. And dress sales at 185. That would be $3 to $5 higher dress compared to last week. Nebraska, 9,600 on Thursday, 28,400 for the week, 115 to 116 live, and $185 dressed. Kansas, 1,300 heads all, 16,400 head for the week, 115 to predominantly 116. Texas is lagging behind. Texas, just a little over 100 heads sold on Thursday, confirmed. For the week, 8,700 head. That is way behind any figure that we would assume is par for a movement out of Texas, even behind NCBA's 75% of a good market there, minimum what they would accept. But $115 was the only price we had on those few loads of cattle that sold in Texas. Colorado's been printing here lately, so we've been having a little more active trade in Colorado. 3,700 head on Thursday confirmed, 5,700 head for the week, 115 to mostly 116. Box beef cutout values up again, and they're really going to go up here in the next several weeks as we get into grilling season. Choice cuts on Thursday afternoon, $236.45, up $1.61. Select $226.25, up $2.18. Your slaughter has been pretty good this week as we've got all of our plants back up and going here. 475,000 for the week through Thursday. That's 22,000 more than last week, 17,000 less than the same week a year ago. Actual slaughter data come in for the week ending March the 13th. We've recovered our weights, and they recovered pretty fast after the cold snap there, but our average dressed steer carcass weight's 904 pounds on the average. That's up 4 pounds from the previous report. Going to be going down here to Edna, Texas there, place I've never been before. Got a big replacement sale going to be on DV Auction on Saturday, so you guys tune into that if you're interested. How about your feeder cattle market, your real-time index on DV Auction with late sales or through late sales on Thursday, coming in late on Thursday, 137.27. That's up 59 cents for the day, and it's been gaining all week long, guys. Just imagine, it wasn't very long ago. 130 was a big time price on 800-pound steers. Now we've got the real-time index, cash index based on 800 pounds, 137.27, and it's going up quicker and leaving your CME cash feeder cattle index behind because we're in so many more sales with DV Auction on your real-time index. We're in a lot of regional type sales with local demand. It's getting the time of the year. We've got farmer feeders coming in before they plant. They get some cattle bought and get them on feed. And we're not just in your main big sales that are such a slave to your commodity or your corporate type feeder buyers there. Let's talk about some of your big sales on Thursday. Winter livestock, Pratt, Kansas, 4,300 head. Feeder steers, $2 to $5 higher. Lightweight steer calves, as much as $10 higher. Feeder heifers, steady. Heifer calves, $2 to $5 higher. Good sale on cows and bulls. Cows were $2 to $5 higher. You don't see that very often. And slaughter bulls, $7 higher. So everything higher. Farmers and ranchers livestock in Salina, Kansas, 3,300 head. Feeder steers, $1 to $4 higher. Now your heavier weights, which this is a little bit confusing to me, maybe they just didn't have the orders in there, but your heavier weight steers weighing over 9 and heifers weighing over 850 were lower, $2 to $4 lower, and that's a little curious there. I guess it's just mainly because they don't have any stocker bidders coming in there pushing the market up on those. I guess, there's no way you're going to turn cattle that heavy out on grass, but you might come in on some 7 weights with some condition and push them up there quite a bit. Stocker steers and heifers, $2 to $10 higher, and you can understand why. We've got that's right there at the top of the Flint Hills, and people still finishing up buying cattle to turn out in those big turnout areas there. How about another Kansas sale that we rarely talk about? El Dorado, Kansas there. They've got a good sale, and it's seasonal, but they had a good sale on Thursday. Look at these quotes here. Impressive feeder steer quotes, load lots and bigger. Included in there is 120 head string, 850 pound feeder steers at $133.60, and a load of 900 pound steers at $131.90. That's a pretty good price there. How about an individual quote? Pratt, Kansas. I told you how much higher the lightweight cattle were in the stockers. How about Pratt, Kansas? 53 head, 573 pound steer calves at $188.50. Big time quote on some stockers there. How about Stockman's Livestock Exchange, Dickinson, North Dakota? You're not going to see that quoted too much. How about some feeder heifers from Robbie Rydell there? 357 head of feeder heifers, weighed 833, bring $127. Good blacks and black baldies right there. That was a steer quote just a week ago. Now it's a heifer quote, guys. But the best quote that I saw anywhere on Thursday, and your Zach Tran top quote for the day, come out of Clarinda Livestock Auction. My friends John Anderson there and Frank Hepker, 71 head, 740 pound steers, bring $155.75. And that's your feeder flash for Friday.